Z, Coach Steichen talked about, getting off to a 2-0 start. You really tried to stay disciplined so you can, maintain that level of execution that you have to this point. What does that discipline look like that you have to have throughout the course of the week so that you get the results that you need to have, want to have on Sunday?
I think, Coach Shane's really just framed our entire season, including the offseason, on just focus on getting better every day. So that's just attacking the process. Every week, you have a cycle of a week. Wednesday, obviously, trying to get the first and second down and everything together, and started moving on the third down, the red zone, so on and so forth. So just making sure you're taking advantage of every day. To win a game on Sunday, you got to win on Wednesday first. So.
You've had plenty of opportunities to this point in your career, obviously, to play at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
You've also seen a number of rookie quarterbacks. What do you try to do as a defense in particular to exploit a rookie and make him uncomfortable?
Well, obviously, it's still a new experience for him. You got to get the rookies young before they get old and be a big dog. So you definitely got to get your licks in early. But Cam's a talented young player. Obviously, he can make all the throws, athletic. He was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. So, it's our job to stop him and keep him off balance.
Zaire, you've seen what it's like to. You've seen what it's like to. It can come down to the last game of the season to tell you whether or not you're in the playoffs or out. They all matter. I know it's just the beginning, but many years you're looking up at the standings after week 1. What kind of launching pad can this be to get out there 2-0 and get a leg up, especially with this division game?
Well, definitely, starting off 2-0 and 2 AFC wins is going to be huge. We've been in that situation before where you look at the end of the season and you're like, man, if we would have won that week 2 game, it would have been a big deal. But, I think my boy McKinney and the Packers say the best. A lot of teams start off 2-0 and end up not being nothing. So, like I said, we just got to stick to our process, continue to be diligent, and just win this week.
First road game, how much are you embracing this moment here? No more in front of the home crowd, but going on the road now.
I love it. I love being a road dog. I think coming on the road and winning on the road is always an opportunity for the team to grow closer. We already got a huge, close-knit team, so I think it's just another challenge for us, obviously against a talented Tennessee team. So.
See what's working with early, but takeaways, you're getting key takeaways. What's working?
I think it's just guys ready for their moment. In a back-and-forth game like Denver, you're going to have games where, it's high scoring and it's just really about the defense that makes the first play. And we knew that. I was preaching out on the sideline like, hey, look, man, the first defense to make the turnover is going to win the game. And everybody was ready. And Cam Bynum has just been special. No question. I mean, he's been making big plays and big moments. And obviously, not only just his energy, but his playmaking has been a big deal for our team and for our defense. So definitely got to kick that up. But, I think guys were just ready for that moment, ready to execute.
When you talk about Cam, what does that say about an individual? I mean, you know how it can be tough joining a new team, high expectations coming in, but it seems like this guy has been ready to go since day 1, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that's, both sides. I think Cam came in with the right mindset, knowing that, A, he had to earn, the trust and, his reputation obviously speaks for itself, but, you're in a new locker room, you got to prove it all over again. And, I think it just speaks to the leadership of the locker room, first with Kenny, with the DBs, and, so on and so forth, even to the other guys on the other side of the ball, just making Cam feel comfortable enough to be himself. I think that's usually the hardest part when you come into a new situation. You want a guy to feel comfortable enough to feel like himself, to be himself. That way he can play the best version of his game. And thankfully he's been able to do that so far.
With Ward, when you see a play like he made last week for that touchdown, like what do you have to be aware of as a defense knowing he has that shot in his bag?
I mean, I hope he throws that play again. It wasn't a good throw. But, I mean, he's a talented player. So, like I said, he can make all those throws. His arm angle, obviously, is exceptional. He's got a zip in the ball. Like I said, he's the number 1 overall pick for a reason. I was a fan of him when he was in college. But, when you got a guy like that that's able to make plays, you just got to make sure you stay on your assignments. But hopefully he throws the ball again.
When you see your offense go out there and they're having long possessions and capitalizing, and they're not going 3 and out, how beneficial is it as a defense to be on that sideline and not having to rush back out there right away?
Man, it's great. I mean, it lets you be more opportunistic, You're willing to take your chance, willing to take a shot, A, because you're rested. Defense, our offense controlling the clock. I've been on the other side of that. That's not fun. But then also, too, when you got an offense that's putting points up, they got your back. So it's, disheartening it was sometimes on Sundays, letting up long drives or giving up a big play, knowing that our offense was capable of having our back, just makes us want to keep going and keep making plays.
I asked Shane, what has stood out to him about this team being 2-0, And he didn't say the offense, he said defense, but he talked about just the camaraderie of this team and just the togetherness. You've been a veteran player. Do you sense that in this locker room this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think for myself personally, that was really one of my biggest goals. Just coming off of last year, I just felt like, not even to continue to even talk about last year, but I just felt like we had some cracks in the cup, So just coming in this year was just a big deal for, myself and other leaders to make sure that we were, all one band, one sound. Everybody moving together, whether that was getting together outside of the building or, just making sure we sticking together on the field. I think this team is, showing that we've been growing together. We just got to keep that going. I think a big road win in the division would be big for us.
What do you think is the next step for the run defense for you all? And obviously, I know the numbers probably you don't want to be that high as they've been for the first two games. What's the next step to, I guess, sure that up a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just got to be cleaner in our run fits, in our communication. Obviously, it's room for improvement. I think this is a little skewed, but like I said, I think we could be better. Obviously, there's a lot of things on this defense that we got to clean up. Like I mentioned before, we still haven't reached that peak yet. So I think run defense is one of those things we definitely want to be better at.
Talking about the camaraderie, you've been really vocal in support of Jonathan Taylor. You've been lining up against him his entire career every day in practice. How have you seen him evolve as not just a runner, but like he's a 3-down running back now for sure?
No question. I mean, JT's been making plays in the passing game for a while, and I remember a play against Miami where he took a screen 80 yards. But me as somebody who's been going against JT literally since his first rep, I just know there's not many running backs with that vision, with that size, with that change of direction, and with that home run hitting speed. Like, you really don't play those type of guys every week. And for me, as not only as a teammate but as a friend, just seeing how he gets overlooked and disrespected in the national media to me is kind of ridiculous. So JT's not that type of guy, but I like to talk a lot. So I'm always going to scream his name from the mountaintops. And when he makes me look good with 200 yards all together, I'm gonna definitely make sure everybody know about it. So
what does Cam's spirit mean to this unit? I know again people talk about him always having like good days, never having a bad day, but is that a skill? Like, what is it like to be around somebody that is always an energy giver?
Yeah, I can't say he never had a bad day. We all have bad days, but what I will say is, it's just positivity. I think just this offseason, just, studying other good teams, definitely like the Pacers, for example, it just seemed like everybody had a role on that team, and everybody was just a superstar in that role. And I just think Cam's role on our team has just been that positive energy, just, being happy and, bringing everybody along in that direction. Obviously I'm a little bit more negative for the other team, but, I think you need a little bit of yin and yang to be a good defense. So.
Appreciate you.